Bryan entered the car with Andy, Adrien, and Jeremy. Jeremy was the one who held Nina tightly to prevent her from escaping. Now, where were we? Bryan glared at her to start talking. Go right, Nina said, pointing in the right direction. If I find out that you lying, I will kill you, Bryan said, and Nina gulped, though she knew she wasn't lying. Am not lying, Nina said, as they followed the direction she said. To cut the story short, they followed the directions Nina instructed them to follow until they reached a mansion. Are you playing with us? We were expecting a dirty, uncompleted building, but you're showing us a neat house. Like, seriously? Andy scoffed. That's where she is, Nina replied, and Bryan grabbed her hair, dragging her out of the car while she winced in pain. Why are we taking her along? She would only make us slow, Adrien said. Is necessary to bring her among because I have a feeling that he would threaten us with Mantha's life. If he threatened us with Mantha's life, we do the same with Nina's, Bryan said, and everyone nodded in understanding, finding it brilliant. Let's go then, Jeremy said, and they all walked towards the house. There are bodyguards, is pretty much for a small house, Bryan said. You're saying that because your mansion is way too bigger than this, Adrien said, and Andy pointed at a particular direction to see Zach walking towards a door. Nina, seeing her cousin, tried to shout, but what came out was muffles because of the rag used to tie her mouth and Bryan's fist tightly encircled around her hair. Immediately, Zach entered the room and closed the door. The cries and yells of Samantha were heard. No, please don't do this. Please no. Bryan ran to the door while yanking Nina's hair as well. Bryan pushed the door open and ran in to see Samantha on the floor with Zach on top of her. He was trying to remove her clothes, which got Bryan mad with rage. He left Nina to hit her head on the floor before running to Zach and dragging him off Samantha. Samantha's eyes were damn red, and some parts of her uniform were torn, but luckily it didn't show any erotic parts. Bryan grabbed Zach by the collar and began to throw punches at him, disorganizing his already disorganized face. Bryan continued to kick and hit him on his face, making his cut to reopen and blood to stain the floor. Bryan wasn't showing mercy. Bryan, stop! You would kill him! Andy yelled, seeing Zach's quarter-conscious state. His eyes were barely open. Bryan stopped and walked to where Samantha was standing and hugged her. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Bryan asked, and Samantha nodded negatively. Let's just go home, Samantha muttered as her eyes unknowingly located the caged snakes. Okay. Bryan pecked her forehead before they walked away. Samantha held onto Bryan's shirt tightly as they walked into their room inside the Quinn's mansion. Bryan wanted to ask her what was wrong, but he wanted her to rest first. Wait here. Let me get you dinner. You must be hungry. Bryan made her sit down before walking away. Am not hungry. Samantha held his hand, stopping him from going any further. Just stay here with me, Samantha added, and Bryan sat next to her, taking her face into his palms. Are you okay? You can talk to me. Did he do anything to you? Bryan asked softly, and she nodded negatively before placing her head on his chest and falling asleep. At Jeremy's parents' mansion, Jeremy's aunt just watched as Jeremy's mom walked around the house in deep thought. Mandy, that girl. There is something weird about her. Thank God she didn't marry Jeremy, Jeremy's aunt, Claudia said, and Jeremy's mom frowned at her. That Mandy girl doesn't look like a noble lady at all, Claudia added. I don't care. Someone offered me a huge sum of money to make sure Mandy marries Jeremy, Jeremy's mom said, and Claudia's eyes widened.